So this week the focus is on the fiscal year 2011 appropriations bills, even though we're already about halfway through 2011. And you've taken to calling the situation something like a Three Stooges episode. It reminds you of that.
Well, I wasn't comparing anybody in particular to the Three Stooges, but I recall from my youth a Three Stooges episode where they're all fighting in the back seat over a cigar, I think. And then Curly looks up and says, well, don't look now, but we're all going to be killed. Because nobody's at the wheel, and the car is just going over a cliff. And it seemed to me that fiscal policy is very much like that at the moment. They're fighting over very small things relative to the size of the federal budget, and there are much bigger issues that they need to get to. Fiscal policy really is going over a cliff, and so it really is time to settle up what they're doing now on the current year appropriations and move on to the budget resolution, and what are they going to do about the debt limit, and what are they going to do about the long-term issues that the Simpson-Bowles Commission put in play. So that's really the reference to stop squabbling over the back seat and somebody get at the driver's in the driver's seat.
And I think the main argument is that the squabbling, it's that the amount of money is so small, especially when you look at long-term projected deficits, that the time would be much better spent, especially when you have what is kind of a consensus occurring, bubbling up in places that even on the Hill, that there needs to be a look at the long-term issues, that all options need to be on the table, really following from the ideas and theme from the President's Fiscal Commission.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of consensus that we need to move on. And the first thing you have to do is just settle the argument over this year's appropriations bill. Look, the Republicans have basically won that fight. They've gotten cuts from last year, and so it's really only a question of, when do they decide they can declare victory. The longer that fight goes on, the more of a distraction it becomes, and as you say, it's really not over a whole lot of money, and it's not over things that are going to have a lasting impact. So you got to wrap that up, and then I think the one place that still needs to join that consensus about putting everything on the table and looking at things through the Bowles-Simpson framework is the House of Representatives, because the House members did not sign on to the Simpson-Bowles plan, except Spratt, who lost his re-election bid. And we have to see a better signal from the House, as we've seen from the Senate and we saw from the Blue Dog Democrats this week. We've got to see a broader consensus from the House that they're willing to look at entitlement reform and tax reform before the Senate and the President will really be able to take it up.
And I guess going forward, the first tell, in a way, will be what Paul Ryan's budget is going to say, and we should see that in the next week or two, I guess.
Yeah, I think that Ryan's budget is really key from now on. Another reason to wrap up the current year appropriations and move on, because the budget will put all of these big issues in play: the entitlement reform, the tax reform, levels of discretionary spending. You can do anything, the debt limit. There's all of these things that they need to get to can be gotten to through the budget resolution, so the sooner we get to that debate, the better.
Okay.